Welcome back to Cron Mastery, Lesson 04, where toy examples end and production patterns begin. Today we're tackling step values and ranges, the building blocks behind business hours, lunch windows, end-of-day reports, and spreading load across a fleet. We'll work through 4 shapes you'll genuinely meet in real code bases, from a simple weekday window to spaced ticks, to multiple windows in one line, and finally jittered schedules that keep a fleet from stampeding itself. By the end, any realistic cron line is about 2 minutes of thinking away. Here's the map for the next 10 minutes. First, step values inside ranges, composing /n with a window like 9 to 17 to say every 15 minutes during business hours. That single pattern alone covers most production schedules. Then we layer on multi-window jobs using comma lists, look at fleet-safe scheduling with jitter so 1,000 boxes don't all fire at 3 a.m., and finally train your eye to read a cron line off a 24-hour timeline at a glance. So let's start with the pattern that does the heavy lifting. The formula is n-m/p, start at n, jump by p, stop at m. /15 on its own is just shorthand for 0 to 59 over 15, giving you the quarter hours. But the moment you put a real range in front, like 9 to 17/2, the lower bound becomes your starting point. That's why this fires at 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and never before 9. And you can compose across fields, /10 in the minute, 0 to 6 in the hour, and suddenly you've got every 10 minutes, but only during the quiet early morning window. Now, before we write more expressions, let's train the eye. 6 common patterns, 6 24-hour timelines, and the emerald spikes mark every fire. Notice how 9 to 17 on weekdays clusters tightly into the workday, while /4 spreads 6 evenly spaced pulses across the full circle. 6,18 gives you a clean peak and off-peak pair. The morning plus afternoon burst skips lunch on purpose. And down at the bottom, 1 to 5 is your quiet overnight backup window, while at daily is the single midnight tick. Once these shapes are in your head, you'll recognize a cron line before you finish reading it. Real schedules rarely fit one tidy window, and that's where comma-separated lists earn their keep. Look at use case 1. Every 15 minutes, but split across 9 to 12 and 14 to 17 weekdays only, your health checks run all day except during the noon all hands. Use case 2 lists months directly. 1, 4, 7, 10, 9 a.m. on the first of each quarter, 4 fires a year. And use case 3 stacks 2 lists in 2 fields, hour and day of week, 8 and 20 on Saturday and Sunday. Remember cron and s across fields, so every list you add narrows the intersection. Now here's the trap that bites every team eventually. The moment you scale past 1 box, a daily stops being convenient and becomes a self-inflicted denial of service. 1,000 servers, all waking at midnight, all slamming the same S3 bucket and the same connection pool. The fix is jitter, and you've got 4 flavors. Static offset per host derives a deterministic minute from the host name. Random jitter bakes a random minute into the Crontab at provision time. Sleep-based jitter fires at 3 sharp, then waits a random number of seconds up to an hour. And the modern answer, systems randomized delay sec, will cover properly in lesson 10. Which brings us to the payoff. 10 lines that honestly cover most of what you'll ever write. Nightly backup at 3, weekly summary Monday at 9, DB vacuum 2:30 on Sunday, cache refresh every quarter hour, health checks every 5 minutes, monthly cleanup on the 1st, an hourly heartbeat bounded to business hours, weekdays only, pre-workday log rotation at 4, state init on reboot. And notice the last one, 47/3. That's your jitter trick from the previous slide baked right in to dodge the 03 herd. Save these somewhere. Next time you reach for cron, scan the list first. Now, before we move on, it's worth asking why cron behaves this way at all. 3 things to keep in mind. 1. Cron was built for a single Unix box, so the thundering herd you see across a fleet isn't a bug, it's a tool aging into new assumptions. 2. Cron chose determinism over flexibility. Same wall clock time, forever, no retries, no skips. Predictable, but rigid. And 3. Anything missing lives in the shell. Need jitter? Random. Need dependencies? Double ampersand. Cron stayed small on purpose. Composition is the escape hatch. So here's the cheat sheet. Genuinely, screenshot it or tape it next to your monitor. 3 columns, read left to right. Time shapes are the raw building blocks. Every n minutes, within a window, stepped inside a range. Production patterns are those shapes wired up for real work, business hours pulses, nightly backups, the classic skip lunch split, and fleet-safe shows what to avoid and what to reach for instead. Never a daily across 100 boxes, prefer a fixed offset, a random sleep, or a hash of the host name. Lessons 9 and 10 go deeper on the modern answer. Now your turn. 3 exercises, each one drawn straight from real infrastructure work. Exercise 1 is the coffee machine pulse. Every 10 minutes, business hours, weekdays, lunch carved out. Exercise 2 combines a quarterly heavy report with a lighter monthly one, written as 2 non-conflicting lines. Exercise 3 is the fleet problem we just talked about. Daily at 3 a.m. across 100 hosts, spread with jitter. Hints are there if you need them. Pause the video, open crontab.guru, and write them out before the next slide. Before we wrap up, the 5 mistakes that don't throw errors. They just quietly give you the wrong schedule. Forgetting weekdays doubles your runtime across Saturday and Sunday. Reverse ranges like 17 through 9 aren't valid. Split them into 2 lines. Step values stop at the upper bound, so 39 to 17 never fires at 17:30. Add daily on a fleet is a self-inflicted denial of service. And day 31 silently skips 5 months a year. Each one has a 1-line fix on the right. Memorize the patterns, not the bugs. And that's Lesson 04 in the bag. You can now write a step inside a range, combine lists of ranges, avoid hammering a fleet with a daily, and add jitter to keep your weekends quiet. That's the bulk of production scheduling, right there. Next up, Lesson 05, User versus System Crontabs, etc., Crontab, etc., cron.d, the spool directory, and who actually runs what. Catch you in the next deck at dargslan.com.